Okay, everyone, let's
We
start.
start the recording always from the beginning, right?
Yes, I just started.
Okay. I don't have my.
Om ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदाहं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापद्कमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं रघुनाथान्वितं सुतं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते राधा कान्त नमस्तुते काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी नमोऽस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा नाम पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय
कृष्णाय भूतले
श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी
स्वामी
नामिने
इति नामिने
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे
निर्विशेष
पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर हरे कृष्णा
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्णा हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्णा कृष्ण
कृष्णा हरे
कृष्ण
हरे
हरे
राम राम हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं वन्दे गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरं
कृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरम्
गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्ण। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। Okay, let's get started with our kirtan. We will read the translation very quick of the song. So this is a very beautiful song by Narottam Das Thakur. It's actually very famous, and it glorifies, of course, Radha Krishna, but also mainly the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. And we have very briefly talked about the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, but they are our main acharyas. They have translated a lot of the Sanskrit texts of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and written many commentaries on all the Vedanta Sutras. So, and Prabhupada has translated those texts with all that knowledge further into English for our benefit. So everything is spoon-fed to us. We don't have to try to learn Sanskrit or understand the deep philosophical meaning of these very intricate verses and use our own mental speculation to understand them. We are been given the guide, the easily translated, narrated guide by these acharyas, and we are being spoon-fed. So the least we can do is to just read those books, and Prabhupada has made it easily available. These Goswamis, they had to, there were no printing presses in those times. The books were not easily available. There was maybe one copy in thousands of miles, and they each had to use that one copy. They were tattered, broken pages that they had to read and translate. So they have done a lot of hard work. They have gone through a lot of dangers because this was the time of Muslim rule in India. So a lot of our scriptures and our Vedas were being destroyed. All the knowledge was being destroyed by the invaders. So actually, Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, who are the top two of the 6 Goswamis, they were under the employment, forcefully employed by a Muslim king and were serving him. So they have gone through a lot of dangers to give us all this texts and all this knowledge that we are being spoon fed basically. So that's why we like to sing the songs of these acharyas and the songs that glorify them, because whatever we are learning, it's because of their mercy, their compassion, the everything they tolerated themselves in their lives. So they've gone through a lot to give us all this knowledge. So just to give you an idea of the people that we are glorifying, these are the ones. These are our great teachers. We may not see them, but their influence in our life does not go down just because somebody's not here today with us. So just like our past teachers from our school, right? They always continue to influence us. We always remember what they said, and this is eternal knowledge that we have been given to cross this Bhav Sagar. So it is even more important. So that's the song we are singing. We'll quickly read the translation. Okay, so there are 10 sentences to read. Let's start with the kids. Maybe starting from Raina, Vedai, Avni, Binita, Navya. Yes?
Age order or just
However you guys, yeah, we can do age order. You want to start from oldest? Oldest is, I think, Avinash Prabhu. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 1 translation. Hari, obeisances to Lord Hari, unto Krishna and Yadava, obeisances to Lord of Yadus, Madhava and Keshava. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Is it Abhijit next?
Number 2, Gopala, Govinda, Rama, O Venkesat of Madhu, Giridhari, Lord of the Gopis, Bewilder of Cupid. Hare Krishna.
Okay, keep going. I don't know who's next. Will it be Vedai?
Yeah. Shri Chaitanya Nityananda, Shri Advait Sita, Hari Guru Vaishnavas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. Binita?
all glories unto Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, to Srila Jiva Goswami, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, and Raghunatha Dasa Goswami.
Okay, so those are the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan.
I bow to the feet of these 6 Goswamis. By their grace, our obstacles will be destroyed and all desires are fulfilled.
I am the servant of these 6 Goswamis. The dust of the lotus feet is my fivefold subsistence.
Okay, is it Atharv next?
Yes. To be a servant of their lotus feet and to reside in the company of devotees. This is my aspiration, birth after birth.
Okay, Navya can read this one.
When these 6 Goswamis lived in Vraja, they revealed the eternal pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna.
Krishna. Okay. Okay. Who is any other kids? Okay, so would maybe Murli Prabhu and Ravi Prabhu like to read one?
Sure, Mataji. In ecstasy, sing the name of Lord Hari and worship Vrindavana, joyfully fixing your mind upon the lotus feet of the bona fide spiritual master and the pure devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, number 10. The lotus feet of my Guru and the Vaishnavas are my aspiration. Narottam Das thus sings Hari Nam Sankirtan.
Okay, we'll hear the song from the lotus mouth of Ravi Prabhu today. Is this big for you, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, I am ready. Give me 1 second. Just get the tune in my head.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
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 Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya
Keshavaya
Namaha.
Gopala Govinda Rama Sri Madhusudana.
Gopala Govinda Rama
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana.
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohana.
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita.
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita.
Hari Guru Vaisnava Bhagavat Gita.
Hari Guru Vaisnava Bhagavat Gita.
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha.
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha.
Jai Gosaya Kore Charan Vandana.
Jai Gosai Kori Charan Vandana.
Jahan hote Vigna Nasa Vishta Purana.
Jahan hote Vigna Nasa Vishta Purana.
Chaye Gosaye Jar Mui Tara Das.
Chaye Gosai Mui Tara Das.
Tasabara Padarenu Mora Panchagras.
Tasabara Padarenu Mora Panchagras.
Adera Charan Se Bhi Bhakta Sane Bas.
Tadera Charan Se Bhakta Sane Bas.
Janama Janama Hoye Ehi Abhilas.
Janama Janama Hoye Ehi Abhilas.
Chaye Gosaye Jabe Brij Koila Bas.
Chaye Gosaye Jabe Brij Koila Bas.
Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash.
Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash.
Ananda Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Ananda Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Oh Ananda Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Ananda Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Majaman.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Majayaman.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koriyas.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pada Padma Koriyas.
Hari Nama Sankirtan Kohe Narottama Das.
Hari Nama
Sankirtan Kohe Narottama Das.
Hari Hara Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari
Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari Hara Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshawaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshawaya Namaha.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Gadadhara Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Krishna Gadadhara Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare.
Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Hare Hare.
Hari Hara Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari Hara Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Hari Hara Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari Hara Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Hari Hara Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Hari Hara Krishna Yadavaya Nama.
Yadavaya Keshavaya Madhavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very beautiful. Amazing. Good job. Appreciate.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. So let's start with our discussion. So the goal is to hopefully finish this chapter by next weekend and then do a Kahoot quiz on February 28th. So the last day. And then March, we can start the 9th chapter. That's the goal. So we'll move a little fast today because these next few shlokas are actually more technical than full of mellows. It's more, it's not as much devotional. It's more technical details. So let me share very quick. So from our discussion last time, just from the last class, not the whole chapter, we talked about how Krishna describes this world as Dukhalyam Shashvatam. Anybody has any thoughts on that? Remember we talked about pondering this over and maybe discussing this a little more if anybody has any realizations or thoughts on this. If they would like to share why Krishna says, or if somebody still has any doubts why Krishna calls this world Dukhalyam Shashvatam. Why is, we are very blissful, we are enjoying, we are with our family, we do not have much problems at this point of time. So why is Krishna calling this Dukhalyam Shashvatam? Any thoughts on that or doubts on that? Any new ideas came to mind? Everybody's agrees with Krishna's thought that this is Dukhalyam Shashvatam, right? So yeah, I mean, he's the creator, right? If creator says that this is Dukhalyam Shashvatam, so creator knows the best. It's like anything. If it's a mobile phone, creator says this is how you're supposed to use it. You're supposed to clean it with a wipe or something. You don't put it in the washing machine, right? To clean it. If you put it in the washing machine, it'll break. So if a creator says this is how things should be done, this is the nature of this world, creator says that mobile phone is an electronic device and it will go bad if you put it in the washing machine, if you run it under the tap. So then you should follow that, right? Because if you try to wash it, then it'll go bad. So Krishna similarly says, this is Dukkhalama Shashvatam. Don't stay here too long. Just spend this human life wisely and then come back to me. So he's giving a very clear-cut direction, just like we always say Bhagavad Gita is the manual, and directions are given here. The nature of this world, this material creation that Krishna created is given here. So I will, if anybody wants to share from last class, please go ahead. If not, I'll quickly share a few more points and then we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, so we talked about how there are 4 real problems of life, right? We talked about the 3 miseries, right? Everybody knows the 3 miseries. Can somebody quickly list? Avinash, can you mention the 3 miseries?
Yeah, old age, disease, and
So those are the 4 problems of life. Yes, you can list those 4 problems. Yes, go ahead. Old age, death.
yeah,
What else?
disease, one.
Disease, old age, death. So do you think
Yeah,
birth?
that. What? Birth, yeah, but no,
Birth
I
is
don't. I am not sure.
Yes, birth is a big problem. Birth is the whole problem, right? Why we are here. And birth is actually very painful. So if you read the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes the birth. It describes how much suffering the living being undergoes in their mother's womb, actually. And it is Krishna's mercy that we forget. And if you read Adi Shankaracharya's prayers, he says that if we do not fix our life, we'll keep taking birth over and over again, we'll keep accepting another mother's womb over and over again. And entering into a mother's womb is very, very painful situation. The birth for a human being is a very, very painful situation, actually. So not only the fact that we are taking birth into this world and we have to face dangers at every steps, but also the birth itself is very painful. The 9 months in mother's womb is also very painful. And this is given in very detailed description in Srimad Bhagavatam, actually. So birth is a real problem, disease, old age, death, all of those are real problems. And so what are the 3 miseries? Okay, Avni, go ahead.
Adi Devik, which is natural disasters, Adi Bhautik, which is like other people, and Adhyatmic, which is mind and body.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. Very bold. Avni has got the concept down really, really well. Perfect. Okay, so, and then we talked about how the solutions that we come up with for these problems are actually very temporary. And in this life, all we keep doing is trying to find happiness. Everybody's trying to find happiness, right? In this Dukkhalama Shashvatam, everybody's trying to find happiness. Even if you think about a person who is very miserable, like let's say he wants to kill himself, he's trying to commit suicide. Even that person thinks that he will be happy if he can get rid of, if he can commit suicide. So in every situation, we are trying to find happiness. Whichever way is possible, we are trying to find happiness. But the problem is that those solutions we have for our problems are very temporary. We find very temporary solutions to our problems. We don't find eternal solutions. We just find temporary solutions. And most of the kids recited the shloka last time. If we understand the nature of this material world is just to have temporary happiness and temporary distress comes and goes in a cycle like season, then we just have to tolerate it, right? We talked about that, how they come and go in a cycle. So who will recite that shloka and say the meaning of that? Does Raina know it now?
2.4.
Yes.
240.
Okay. Go ahead, Raina.
Okay. Kante Sitoshna Sukadukadaha Agama Bayano and Nityas Tam Stiti Pravarita.
Beautiful. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. Can you read the translation of this so everybody knows what we're saying?
Wrong page.
Today, Nanaji and Nanaji did this sloka with us in the morning, the same sloka we have done. We have given a lot of importance to this sloka.
2.14, Prabhuji?
Yes, we did 214 and 215 this morning.
Okay, yes. Perfect. Go ahead, Ryan. Are you ready?
O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Thank you. Yes, so we should just learn to tolerate. I mean, we can find, it's not like somebody saying that you don't find solutions to your problems, but remember that those solutions can be temporary, and in finding those solutions, sometimes we create more problems. I will give you an example, and if anybody else can think of something, you can also share your thoughts and examples of this. Just very basic. For example, in my medical field, right? There are a lot of people with diabetes that we treat with insulin. Everybody knows that, right? We treat diabetes with insulin. And if you see, insulin comes from what? Insulin is being made from pigs and cows, right? It's bovine or porcine insulin. So in making those medications, we are torturing so many animals, right? So in fixing one problem, we have now created another problem. So that is a very, I mean, that is, yes, it is a solution for one person, that you're fixing that person's diabetes, but you have caused yourself a lot of karma by torturing those other animals. So whatever solutions we find, we think that we are giving happiness to one person, but this is all very relative. It may be temporary happiness for somebody, but it may be distress for somebody else. So the solutions that we find to our problems are very, very temporary. For example, to end the world war, USA had to use the bomb, atom bomb, and so the world war ended. Yes, but at the cost of what? So many. I mean, there's still suffering from the havoc that it created. So in the first place, wouldn't it have been nice if there had been no war, if people lived in peace and harmony with each other, if there was no power struggle between nations, if there was no feeling of vengeance and revenge between nations? Similarly, for let's say basic example of diabetes that I gave, wouldn't it be nice if people followed the proper lifestyle and diet and exercise from the very beginning, so they never got to that point? So basically, with our unrestricted senses, somebody is eating too much and then they are becoming too big, obese, and then they're going through surgeries to fix that problem. So that's a very temporary solution. What would be a better solution? To follow a more godly lifestyle where you keep Krishna in the center, where you eat, where you have very restricted sense enjoyment, follow the regulative principles, see Paramatma in everybody, so you don't mistreat other people, right? So that would be a better solution for some of those problems rather than just finding these temporary solutions. Any other examples come to anybody's mind? Ravi Prabhu, Nirbhay Prabhu, anybody? How we sometimes create more problems when we're trying to find solutions to these.
I know one problem that is not still come yet, but it's going to come in another decade or so. We have so many screen and mobile sets and the laptops and all that. We are creating so many batteries to run those things. Now there is a problem to recycle those batteries. They don't know the solution how to recycle those batteries. So it is being dumped in the environment. So in a few years or so, there will be a big problem that we will have to think. So we just created such a high functioning batteries, so it can just last for hours and hours, but we have never created the solution for it. So yeah, so we gave the pleasure to everybody. We wanted them to hold the world on their palm, so they can have everything on the hand. Just Google it. But then the happiness came to the people. They're very happy. But now we don't know how to recycle those batteries. That's the current problem is going to come in another 10 years.
Yes, Prabhuji. Very nice. Yeah.
But the plastic is the same way that plastic was designed to help us, but now there are like all these islands of plastic in the ocean, which are because the plastic is dumped in the ocean, and now they're like islands, and because of that, so much there is so many fishes are dying because of it, and there's all the marine life is going hither thither because of that. So yeah, that is another thing that comes to the mind, thinking about that when we try to create a solution but actually cause a bigger problem. Even the green energy we think about, like solar energy, now they are having it, the solar panels have got a certain lifetime, and then they have to be, there is no way really that it gets broken down really. So it's not biodegradable. So we think about clean energy, but now these solar panels, which was a solution to get green energy, is causing problems in itself. So, Hare Krishna.
Yes. So in Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says that you don't have to, we are always trying to find happiness. We are always, whatever way we are trying to give pleasure to our senses, mind and intelligence and ego. So we are always trying to look for happiness, to give happiness to those things. But you don't have to look for happiness. Happiness will come just like distress came. Nobody looks for distress. Nobody wants dukh. Dukh just comes. Similarly, sukh also just comes. So, and one of the things I just learned about the where the word dukh and sukh comes from. Okay, so we should not be looking for dukh and sukh. We should be looking for anand. Anand is bliss. Anand is actually the spiritual bliss that one gets when one associates with Krishna. When instead of engaging our mind, intelligence, ego, senses in these temporary things to find happiness, when we engage them in Krishna to find the bliss, then that is anand. So we are looking for sukh or dukh. We should be looking for anand. So what does the word sukh and dukh comes from is what I was going to tell you. If you know the word kha means ether. If you remember the 7th chapter, we did the shloka Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya. Anyone remembers? I think Vinay Prabhu did the glorification on this shloka in our Bhagavad Gita glorification. That I am the taste of water. Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya. Prabha Asmi Shashi Suryo. That I am the light of sun and moon. Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. I am the syllable Om of Vedas. Shabda Khe Paurusham Rishu. That I am the ability of man, and Shabda Khe Kha. That I am the sound in the ether or sound in the space. Shabda Khe. Kha means space or ether. So when that kha, that space within us becomes very narrow, very constricted, du meaning becoming small or narrow, it becomes dukh. But when we expand ourselves to include the whole cosmos, when we expand ourselves to include the only thing that's Satchidanand, which is Krishna, the Brahm, then that becomes sukh. So dukh and sukh comes from within. It's not something that we can achieve by changing the situations around us too much. All we try to do is to change situations around us too much. What that does, like Raina read that shloka, it just changes the sense perception. It just changes the perception. Like today is winter, and then in a few days it'll be summer. That is just from sense perception, right? Similarly, all the happiness and distress that we are facing is actually just from the perception of our senses, mind, intelligence, and ego. But instead of that, if we are happy, if we are blissful within, then that sukh dukh perception that fades away, and that does not matter anymore. So there are many people historically or from our scriptures that have actually externally it looks like they're in so much dukh, but internally they are in pure bliss. Like Queen Kunti comes to mind. She suffered a lot. She suffered the separation of her sons, the death of her husband, the insult of her daughter-in-law. Like so much she suffered, but she was always connected to Krishna within. And so internally she was always blissful. So the bliss comes from within, and when there is that bliss within, the external situations do not affect that much. So while we are in the material world, it is dukhalyam, it is temporary, it is ashashvatam, and Krishna says to get out of here. But while we are here, we can try to achieve that internal bliss so that things do not affect us so much from outside. That's what I wanted to say. Please add or any thoughts.
No, I think you explained it so good, Mataji. It's just a sense perception, like to perceive the hot and cold, we require our gross sensory perception, like our gross senses, Gyanendriya. And for to perceiving the sukh and dukh, we need the fine one. That is, you just said, like mind and your intelligence. So the man, that is combination of the your buddhi and your memory and your like mana, buddhi and memory and the like the pure anand, the chit part. So it comes from the fine sense organ that lets you perceive whether you are happy or you are sad. But then the lesson here is we have to tolerate them and continue with our prescribed duties. So it's not that we can just sit and either lament when we are sorrow, or we can just sit and just be over joyful when we are happy. We have to continue with our duties that is given to us. So that is the 214 that talks about in the purport, that person has to continue with their duties. No matter which situation they are in, they should learn how to tolerate it, like we tolerate the cold and hot. And those persons are the only eligible for the mukti. First time Krishna mentioned in Gita who is the candidate for liberation. The first time it came in the sloka, which is 215, that those persons who tolerate this equally, they are the candidate for liberation. I mean, then he tells later on so many kind of candidacy and your candidacy and your whatever, who is eligible, your eligibility. But this is the first time he says, so this is like a first requirement for us. If we are on the path of liberation, that we want to get away with our material consciousness and get into the pure consciousness, then the first eligibility is learn to tolerate happiness and sorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else has any thoughts or anything to share? Okay, so I think we have discussed this pretty well. So the solution, like we said, real solution should be eternal. It should be something that is applicable to everyone. It should not be something that gives distress to one and happiness to other. That is not the real solution, right? Those are just temporary solutions for now. And here a story comes, and we may have, I think I've discussed this before, but this story is mentioned by our teachers, our acharyas. So this is an analogy of what gives the real, what is the real solution versus temporary solutions. So imagine there is a very, very rich man. Okay, he owns a lot of land. He has a lot of servants. He has big family. He has a lot of property, money, whatever. Very rich man. He has a little kid, little son. Okay, one day that son gets upset with his father because of something, and he decides that I want to go and do something of my own. So he leaves his father and goes away. But he's a little kid. After some time, he realizes, oh no, I want to go back. But he's now very far from his house. He does not remember the way back, and he's lost. So this kid is now, he's hungry, he is cold, he has no food to eat, the road is hard, he's falling down and getting his feet are bleeding. He's in a very miserable condition, basically, this kid. Okay, so then he crosses some people on the road. There is one guy that sees this little kid and says, oh my God, this little kid looks very hungry, I should give him some food. And he gives him some food and goes away. Okay, somebody else comes and he sees, oh, he has no clothes, he must be really cold, I should give him some clothes. He gives him some clothes and goes away. Somebody comes and says, oh, his feet are bleeding, he must need some medicine, maybe I should band-aid his feet. And he puts a wrap on his feet, gives him some medicine and goes away, right? And then there comes a person who says, oh, beta, where are you coming from? Who's your father? he says, oh, my father is such and such person. He says, oh, okay, I know him. I know where he lives. Do you want to go back to him? He says, yes, I want to go back to him. And this person takes him back to his father. So who out of the four people do you think did him the best service? The one who gave him the food, the one who gave him the clothes, the one who gave him the medicine, the one who took him back to his father? So let's hear from Raina.
The one who took him back to his father.
So why is that?
Because his father gave him everything that everyone else just gave him.
Yes, right? Anybody had to do was to ask him where your father is. You look like you're separated from your parents, and take him back to his father, right? The father is very rich person. He'll give him everything he needs. He does not need these other people to give him separate things. He just needed to go back to his father. So that is our situation here. If we can just learn this eternal knowledge and try to attempt to go back to Krishna, leave this world, then you can be eternally blissful, because he is the owner, proprietor, maintainer of everything. So all these temporary things that we are getting here will get at once from him. But we are trying to solve our problems on our own by coming up with these temporary solutions. But if we just surrender to Krishna, take shelter of Krishna or his devotees, people that know where he lives, like Prabhupada was giving the true bliss to people. We saw in that movie, right? All these people were not getting the kind of bliss they were getting from drugs, LSD, cocaine, heroin, whatever it is they were doing. They were getting all that bliss from just the chanting of Harinam and just from eating prasadam and playing kirtan, right? So if you can give that true bliss to somebody, that is a better, if you can take even one person back to Godhead, it is said, in your lifetime, along with you, then that is the greatest service you will ever do, more than any charity, more than anything. It is not wrong to do any of the charities. Definitely those people. Now imagine there was a fifth person who completely ignored the child and kept walking, right? That person is completely demonic. He did not, he looked at the child who was hungry, who was looking cold and bleeding, and did not offer any help to him. So that is definitely some charity that people did was helpful, that made the child at least temporarily comfortable, right? They gave him some clothes, some food, something, so that made him temporarily comfortable. But yes, the best person was the one that took him back to his father. So it's not like charity or helping people is not good, but the best help is to try to make everybody internally blissful, where they can connect to Krishna from within, and then it's just like watering the roots. If you water the roots, everything else gets nourishment as well, right? So that will be the real solution. And so in the purport, Prabhupada says that we should try to increase our detachment to this tendency of suffering and happiness, and increase our enthusiasm for the spiritual life. So the more we increase our enthusiasm for spiritual life, and the more we detach ourselves from this suffering and hankering for happiness and lamentation for suffering, then we can experience that anand in this dukhalayam shashvatam. Okay, so if please everybody, if you want to share, please go ahead. Prabhuji, are you saying something? You're mute.
I think we understand, at least I can say we understand, at least I understand that this is the Dukhala and Aswaswatam. But as you mentioned in the beginning, the kids that we have in our class, because they don't see anything like that, because they think everything is great. They have everything what they need. They have everything what they want. So how do we make them understand? Any kind of example comes to your head? Anything simple, because they are happy. They think that everything material is happiness, spiritual is not happiness, because it doesn't get into the head maybe at this age, or maybe like we think this is not their level. We are trying to tell them a lot at this age because we never had all this before. So why are we, so those kind of a conflict comes in the practical day-to-day life. So anything, any suggestion, like how will they understand that this is Dukhale and the real happiness is coming from when you try to connect, when you try to engage your senses for the service of Krishna? That time, whatever anand you get, that is the real happiness. How will they understand at this age? They may understand maybe when they are like 46 like me, but what about when they are 12, 13, 14? Because I get some feedback that this is their teenage. They also need to do materialistic thing. So
Yes, Prabhuji.
where do you draw a line? What is the balance?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I mention something?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, everyone has their own problems, and if you ask them, they will have their own problems, right? Their problem may be that we are telling them to do something that they don't want to do, but they are not happy. They're not always happy. Every day or every week, they can think about 5 things that they can think that when things did not go according to their plan. They have, everybody has their own challenges because they are here, and that is the truth that they're, this is Dukhale Ashashvatam. It doesn't say only for the 40-year-old and not for the 10-year-old. So the 10-year-old is also at that time feeling that they are in a miserable condition at least some point or the other. They're 6-year-old Navya, she's going to be crying sometimes because she for us we'll think, wow, what a life. She has nothing to worry about, just play, have fun. The food is brought to you on the table, there's no problem at all. But she's still crying at times, right? Why is she crying? Because in her mind there are very big problems. Whatever is happening at that time, that's the worst thing that can happen to her, right? So that kind of thing will always happen for everybody. Just the situation and things will be different. So it is part of now being a pediatrician. I understand that it is a part of their psyche, though, that at this age they feel that they are invincible. They forget it very soon. That whenever that they were not happy, that ups and downs are just much more at this time. So I would not say that we should try to bring it more to their attention that they are not happy. I don't think that's the solution. But focus on just focus on the positives. Give them the knowledge, and by your example, let's see, they see what you do, and they will learn. They may try to revolt against it, or may revolt against it, but still they still learn a lot just by seeing what we are doing. So we should just try as much as possible to to teach with examples, and I think the rest will come. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So what I would like to add on this, all I think nice points. Prabhuji asked about what is the balance. So for kids, I think you just have to initially just set an example and do the disciplinary things that you have to, you should read this much, you should chant this much. And I think all the kids are doing stuff like that, and give them the basic knowledge. But as for the balance, it is compared to like a bird in a golden cage, right? So they are like the birds in the golden cage. So it is, yes, it is important, but what is important? Is it important to feed the bird, or is it important to clean the cage? Both, right? You have to feed the bird. I mean, you can feed the bird and cage can be very dirty. That will also not make the bird very happy if the cage is dirty, right? So cage dirty meaning if our material life is not successful, or if we are not if our body is not healthy, if our relationships are not good, if our community is bad, then also the soul will not be blissful. So the bird should be fed, but also the cage should be kept clean. On the other hand, if you just keep the cage clean, which most of the people are doing in this world, and not feeding the bird at all, then the bird will die. So yes, definitely feeding the bird is more important, but there is a balance. People that read Bhagavad Gita know that there is this balance of both. So we don't just tell them, okay, you just do spiritual elevation and don't forget your material life. No, they should have their hobbies, they should develop them, and each have their propensities. Everybody's born with some propensities, and they should fulfill their propensities, otherwise they will not be satisfied. If they are not satisfied, they will not be able to follow the spiritual path very well either. So if there is a certain profession they're aiming for, they should do their very best. All the Bhagavad Gita teaches is that by keeping Krishna in center, you can do those things also very much in a very better way, in a more efficient way, in a more timely way, in a more disciplined way, with sense control and without getting deviated. So keeping Krishna in center helps to advance on material path, as well as keeps nourishing you spiritually also. So that's why we're just putting them on this path of some spirituality early on in the life. And it may seem like they're doing more things materially right now, but eventually this knowledge will kick in whenever the time comes, when somebody is being offered the first cigarette or something, they will have this backing of this knowledge. So when the first pothole comes, their tires will be strong that they don't feel the bump. So we can just make them spiritually, give them the spiritual strength. And where does spiritual strength come from? Going back to our, will Navya answer this? Where does spiritual strength come from? Whose name means spiritual strength? Okay, I'll ask it like this.
Oh, you didn't hear, looks like. I said Krishna and then Bhagavad Gita.
Close by. Everything comes from him, but this is
Exactly means spiritual strength. Bal means strength. Balram.
Balaram. Yeah.
So Lord Balram is the Adi Guru, right? He's the Adi Guru. So from him comes all the strength. So we are getting our spiritual strength from our gurus, from our, like you are getting lessons, right? You're reading from Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, he's our guru. You're reading from Shubhalas Prabhu, he's our guru. So all the people that you hear on the YouTube that we hear lectures from, that are gurus, right? Your parents are your first guru, your mother and father. So we are getting the spiritual strength from them, and we will, whenever there is a problem, they will have this knowledge. That's how I feel, Prabhuji. Hope that answers.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, it does.
Okay, so let's move on to the next one, because I want to cover a few, if everybody's okay, unless any doubts. And we had actually covered this, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But Krishna basically says, has anybody else memorized these two shlokas other than Ravi Prabhu and Sheetal Mataji?
I just have trouble.
Anita Mataji has?
I tried. I learned one.
Okay, Mataji. Yes, please go ahead. Recite, please.
Mam upeta punar janma dukhalya asaswadam. My pronunciation is bad. Asaswatam napnuvanti
Mahatmana.
Napnuvanti. What was the next one?
Mahatmana.
Mahatmana. Paramatman Siddhim Gata.
Sarmam Gata. Thank you, Mataji.
Well, I'm trying.
No, very good. You don't have to know full shloka. Bhagavad Gita shlokas are very powerful. Even uttering 1/4 of the shloka, Shivji says, even uttering 1/4 of Bhagavad Gita shlokas is can give you highest perfection of life. So you don't have to know the full shloka. You just have to try. So you did really good.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji, for encouragement. With Vinita, she was like, oh, you yourself cannot remember and you are asking me to memorize. And then I was like, you don't have to compare with me. I have probably, less brain than you. So
Vinita, a grown-up's brain is full of so many other things. Kids are very, very intelligent, especially in our class, this class. Our kids are very, very exceptional. So
yeah, she remembered, I think 11 or 12, and then she was telling me. So
yes, everybody keep up. They're doing really good. And this reminds me of a very short, quick story, which I really like a lot. This is from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. He saw a Brahman who was reading, he's sitting outside a temple and trying to read Bhagavad Gita, but he was crying profusely. He was profusely crying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, why are you crying? He said, I cannot read Sanskrit. I cannot read these shlokas and pronounce them very nicely. So that's why, and these other Brahmins make fun of me. That's why I'm crying. So he says, Vipra kahe murkha ami, shabdarth na jani, shuddh ashuddh Gita padi, Guru agya mani. That my Guru told me to just read the Gita. Shuddh ashuddh Gita padi, Guru agya mani. So jaise bhi padho, shuddh ashuddh. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, okay, but why are you crying because they're making fun of you? He said, no, I'm crying because I just realized, I saw the picture, and Krishna is sitting on the chariot and Arjun is the passenger. And Krishna has so much love for his devotee that he has accepted this menial position of a charioteer. So, when in the fight, a charioteer drives the chariot, the king sitting in the back has to kick him, because it is very loud. It is very loud. So if he kicks on the left side of the charioteer, that means turn left. If he kicks on the right side with his foot, turn right. If he kicks in the middle, go straight. So that's how Krishna is getting so many kicks from Arjuna. He kicks him to go left, go right. So Krishna has so much love for his devotee, for Arjun, that he has accepted this position. He's not even taking up arms, and he's just accepted this position. So just thinking about that bhav of Krishna, I'm crying and crying. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you got the message of Bhagavad Gita. This is the message, that Krishna has so much love for us and he's calling us back. So you have understood the Bhagavad Gita much more than all these other Brahmans who can maybe pronounce the shlokas very nicely, but they don't understand the meaning. So that was, so Shuddh doesn't matter that much. Okay, so we'll go back to that shloka. Mataji, Prabhuji, where is Sheetal Mataji today? Is she here?
She's at work.
She had to go, some emergency work came up for her.
Okay. Okay, because I was going to ask her about this. So this is, Krishna says, and we can, let's recite this once very quickly. Abrahma bhuvanalaloka.
Abrahma bhuvanaloka.
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Mamupetya Kaunteya.
Mamupetya Kaunteya.
Punarjanmana vidyate. So Krishna says that from Brahmalok to the lowest planet, you will come back, O Arjun. But once you have achieved me, once you have reached my abode, Punarjanamna vidyate, that you will never come back. And we did this. If you can you see my screen?
Yes, Mataji.
So these are the planets. This is all in material world. This is not spiritual world. All these planets that Krishna is talking about, Satyalok is Brahmalok basically. This is Brahmalok, and Bhulok is where we live. So Bhulok is the lowest planet of the good ones. It is the lowest planet. It's called the Mrityulok or Bhulok. Above us are 6 more, and Satyalok or Brahmalok is the best one, the Brahma's planet. Swargalok is where Indra Devta lives, right? Swarg is very commonly the target of a lot of people. Bhuvar Loka is where the ancestors, Pitras live. So these are the various planets above us. And then these are the planets below us. Patal Lok, Atal, Vital, Sutal. These are all the lowest planet is the Patal Lok. And Rasatal is that planet where Earth or Earth sinked into when one of the incarnations of
Varaha.
Which incarnation? Okay.
Varaha.
Varahadev brought Earth out of this lowest planet, Rasatala. Everybody knows the story of Varahadev, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does everyone know all the 10 incarnations? Do the kids know the 10 incarnations? Yes? Okay,
Yes.
I think Avni wants to tell us.
Oh, I do. Okay, there's Matsya, which is the fish, and there's Korma, which is the tortoise, and there's
Slowly.
Varaha, which is the boar, and then there's
Avni, say it loudly.
oh, then there's okay. So do I need to start over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's Matsya, which is the fish. Then there's Kurma, which is the tortoise. Then there's Varaha, which is the boar. Then Narsingha, which is like half lion, half man. Then there's Vaman, which is the dwarf. And then there's Parshuram, which is like the
Man with the compromised emotion.
yeah. And then there's Ram, which is like the perfect one. Then there's Krishna. Then there's Buddha. And then there's Kalki, which has not come yet. That was our homework from Shobha.
Perfect. Thank you, Avni. Navya has a song about this. You want to sing? Go ahead.
Matsya Kurma Varaha, Nrsimha and Vamana, Parshuram and Rama, and Buddha. Kalki is the last one to come in Kali Yuga.
Hare Krishna.
Bigo.
So that song doesn't mention Krishna because Krishna and Balram are one and the same. So that song just says after Ram, it says Balram. Kalki is the next one. So are these 10 incarnations, is it? Are there, do you think that's it?
Oh, there's Chaitanya too. Yeah, there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay, are there any more?
There's more.
And yeah, I mean, if there are other religions that believe that there are other incarnations.
Yes, other religions, yes. And what else? Yeah. So there are millions and millions of expansions of Krishna, and all these spiritual planets are actually, they have, so there is expansions and there is incarnations. Incarnations is when Krishna appears on earth. And these 10 are the main, they are the Yuga Avtaras. They are the main incarnations in which Leelas are done. So they're Leela incarnations. But then there are many other incarnations, and Bhagavatam lists many of them. The reason I came to that was because I was talking about the expansions. So just trying to explain expansions and incarnations. Incarnations is appearance of Krishna for a purpose. And who will tell me what the purpose is? Why does it
Yada yada he dharmas.
Yeah, to establish righteousness and all that.
जोर से बोल बेटा.
Lessons. To teach us lessons.
Vinita
Yes.
wants to say something.
Teaches lesson. Yes. Vinita wants to say something.
To kill the demons.
To kill the demons. To kill the demons, somebody said to establish religion and teach us lessons and proper religious system, right? What else?
Paritranaya sadhunam.
Vinashaya Chadushkatam.
So to uplift the saintly person, even to साधुओं का उपकार करने के लिए.
Yes. Yes. What else? Was Raina saying something?
To protect his devotees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paritranaya Sadhunam is the most important reason, right? To protect, to give delight to his devotees, to spend time with his devotees, to attract people with his pastimes, right? So those pastimes, those are going on eternally, right? If not on Earth, then on other planets, right? And we just don't know because we just have very limited sense perception. So we just see whatever is in front of us, happening around us, or being shown to us on the news. But that's it. So these things are beyond our perception, beyond the material conception at all. So when Krishna comes, it is to attract his devotees. So then that way we have so much to talk about. We talk about his pastimes, take delight in those forms, those qualities that he exhibits. So the expansions I was talking about is that all those, these were all the material planets that I showed. Beyond this is the spiritual realm where there are Vaikuntha planets. And in those Vaikuntha planets, the highest one is called
Goloka.
Goloka. And in that Goloka is where Krishna's personal situation is, personal form is. And there are other planets where Krishna's expansions are, and there are 24 expansions of Krishna in those other Vaikuntha planets. So, and actually, if we look into Srimad Bhagavatam or Brahma Samhita, they mention more about these supreme abode of Krishna than Krishna does in Bhagavad Gita itself. So, couple of very important shlokas like this one. This one talks about Golok. Golokanamni nejadhamni tale chatasya Devi Mahesha Hari Dhama Suteshu Teshu Te Te Prabhava Nichaya Vihitascha Yena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Okay, can somebody read the translation of this? Let's hear from Abhijit Prabhu.
Lowest of all is located Devi Dhama, Mundanam world. Next above it is Mahesh Dhama, above of Mahesha. Above Mahesha Dharma is placed Hari Dhama, above of Hari, and above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Golok. I adore the primeval Lord Krishna, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms.
Thank you. So it talks about Devi Dham, then Mahesh Dham, and then Hari. And the highest is the Golok, which is his niche or his own personal abode, personal Dham. And he has allotted authorities like Devi to rule our world, material world, mundane world, material world here. We know that Mahesh Dham is located above the material world. It is in the spiritual realm, which is Shivji's Dham. And then there are all these Vaikunthas of Krishna's expansions, where different authorities are. And depending on where you want to go, one can achieve that realm. So, but for most of our lifetime or for most of our births, we are just rotating between in the material manifestation from those top heavenly planets to the low planets. And this one describes the form of Krishna. But before that, let's read these next two shlokas very quick. So these become now more technical. So I will write them and we can understand these. Does someone want to read the Sanskrit of this quickly?
Can I do it?
Yes.
Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Pramano Vidaha Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Deho Ratra Vido Janaha.
Haribol.
Haribol. Can you read translation too?
Yes. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night.
We'll discuss this. Let's read a few. Let's have somebody else read this one very quick. Okay, would who wants to read this? Binay Prabhu, would you like to read this one?
Avaktya tad bhaktya sarva prabhavante ragame ratragame pralinte tatre babya tasangake.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Can you read the translation also?
Yeah. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into unmanifested again.
Hare Krishna. So this here is avyaktad vyaktya sarva, that everybody is unmanifest in the beginning. Avyakt always means unmanifest. Whenever Krishna uses the word avyakt, it means unmanifest. Avyaktad vyaktavya, like vyakti is a person, right? So from an unmanifest, we become a manifest, meaning we accept a body. Ratri agame pralyante means that at the fall of the night. This night here means Brahma's night. When the night of Brahma comes, pralyante, pralay happens. That means everything becomes annihilated and we become unmanifest again. Okay, so night here refers to Brahma's night, not our night. Brahma's night is completely different, and I'll explain to you. But this is talking about the night and day of Brahma. This is talking about Brahma's lifespan here. Okay. Okay, I'll read this Sanskrit, and we'll have somebody read the translation. Bhutagramasa, sorry. Bhutagramasa evayam bhutva bhutva pralyate ratri agame vasha partha prabhavati aharagame. So, can somebody read this? Yes.
Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Oh, I said it.
Hare Krishna, yes. So Krishna is basically telling us about Brahma's life here, okay? Brahma's day and night, and how our material manifestation is annihilated and manifested based on Brahma's day and night. And that on the whole, that tells us how temporary the material existence is and how short our human lifespan is, how short our birth is in that, like how relative to Brahma's age, how insignificant our lifespan is. So there are 2 or 3 points Krishna is making by telling us about Brahma's life here. Nirbhay Prabhu, would you like to read?
तस्मात् तु भावोऽन्यो व्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातना यः स सर्वेषु भूतेषु नाशात्सु न विनश्यति. Translation. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in the world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Hare Krishna.
So again, Krishna talks about avyakt, avyaktat. So avyakt, again, same thing, unmanifested, unmanifest to the unmanifest. How we are unmanifest, then we accept a body, become manifested, then we become unmanifested again. So in simple, that is how the cycle goes. And at the end, how everything becomes annihilated, meaning destroyed. When all the world is annihilated, everything becomes destroyed, but there is something which is eternal, which is most supreme and is not affected by this destruction, this manifestation and manifestation. It stays the same. That eternal thing is what?
Spiritual world, Gokul.
Yeah, spiritual world or Brahman, right? So that is that is eternal and stays the same. So again comes the word avyakta. So Krishna is talking about avyakta a lot, unmanifested. Okay, let's have. I will read this very quick. Avyaktokshara iti yuktastam ahu parmam gatim yam prapyana nivartante tadhama parmam mama. Okay. So, can somebody read this? Murli Prabhu, would you like to read this one?
That which the Vedantists describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which having attained it, whatever returns, that is my supreme abode.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Krishna makes this point many times in Bhagavad Gita, that having come to my abode, you never come back, right? He said that in Abrahma Bhuvanaloka, right? Mamupet Napnuvan, sorry. Abrahma Bhuvanaloka
Punaravirtana Arjuna Mamopete tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate.
Right? He says that punarjanam na vidyate. He keeps saying this. Another shloka in 15th chapter, if you remember when we were doing the Purushottam month. Na tadbhasyate suryo na shashanka na pavaka yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Same line. Yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. That place which does not need the sun, which does not need the electricity, the moon, and to having come to that abode, you never come back. So he keeps making this point of how everything that we understand, material world, cosmic manifestation that we relate to is so temporary, and how that gets annihilated, and how our lifespan is so short, and how this material world is so destructible, whereas this supreme eternal Brahman is indestructible, infallible, and that once you achieve this, you never come back. So he keeps making this point. And I'm going quickly through these because we will discuss them all together. Purusha sa para partha bhaktya labhyastva ananyaya yasya antasthani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. So this one.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by the unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading and everything is situated within him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Krishna comes a full circle after describing Brahma's lifespan and everything, and then says that the Supreme Personality, the Param Purusha, so Purusha sa para partha, that Purush that is Param, Purusha sa para partha. So hey Parth, that Param Purush, that can only be achieved by Ananya Bhakti, Bhaktya Labhyastva Ananya, by unalloyed, undeviated devotion. And we did this in last two classes. What is unalloyed, undeviated, uninterrupted, unmotivated Bhakti, right? He can only be achieved or easily, Sulabh, he said Sulabh before, that by that Bhakti, I'm easily achievable. And who is that Param Purush in which everybody resides, and who resides in everybody, or who is the basis of everybody, right? He's all pervading, so he resides in everybody, and everything is situated within him. So he supports everything. So this is, we will discuss now these few a little bit, starting from where Krishna starts talking about Brahma's lifespan. For that, let's hear from who can tell me, and I'm going to write this down. Who can tell me the 4 yugas? Let's hear from kids first. Okay, yes, Vedhi. What are the 4 yugas? Speak loud.
Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kal Yuga.
Haribol.
Haribol. Very good. So can you say it again and
louder?
Yeah. Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kal Yuga.
Okay. So let me just share my screen, and I'm going to write as you speak, because we will try to understand this a little bit. Okay. So you said Satya Yuga.
Yes.
Then you said Treta.
Yes.
Right? Then you said Dwapar. And then you said Kali Yuga. Right? Okay. Does anyone know how long or how many years is Kali Yuga?
Wait. I got this. Wait, I wrote this down. Everything decreases. Isn't it like 1,000 years? No, wait. I got this. I have it.
Okay, Binita knows it.
Is it 432,000 years?
Yes, perfect. Hari bol. 4,32,000. Right? So this is the duration of Kali Yuga. This is how long the Kali Yuga is. How many years are we into the Kali Yuga so far? Approximately. Yes.
5,000?
Yes. Who said that? Binita did?
Louder bol beta. Whatever you say louder. Even if it is wrong, it's okay.
Okay, good. Yes. So about 5,000 years, right? Okay. Who knows the duration of Dwapar Yuga? Yes.
864,000 years.
Okay, so 2 times, I will just write, it's 2 times the Kali Yuga, right? What is the duration of the Treta Yuga? And now it should be easy, intuitive. Yes.
1,296,000 years.
Yes, so we don't need to remember, just 3 times the Kali Yuga. Okay.
Okay, 3 times.
Okay.
Three
What is the duration of the Satya Yuga?
I got
Yes.
1,728,000 years.
Yes. So about 4 times the duration of Kali Yuga, right? Does anyone know what is this cycle of 4 yugas called?
Is it Manvantar?
Okay. Any other guesses?
No,
Which one to-
it's not Manvantar. It is
It's called Kalpa.
Kalpa. Yes, Kalpa.
One cycle of 4 yugas is called one Kalpa.
One Kalpa.
And so, okay, so Prabhuji said Manvantar. So let's understand what Manvantar is. Does anyone know what Manvantar is? What is Manu?
Manu is the first human, first Manushya, which
Oh, I was close.
So the duration of a Manu's life is 1 Manvantar, right? So 1 Manvantar is equal to how many Kalpas? Is equal to 70 Kalpas. This is not, this term is not used that much here. So I will, we can either understand in the way of Manvantars or in the form of Kalpas. Krishna is mentioned in the form of Kalpas in that shloka. So Krishna says, what does Krishna say in that shloka? Sahasra Yuga Paryantam, right? 1,000 ages taken together, 1,000 yugas, Sahasra Yuga taken together, form the 1 day of Brahma's life. Okay. Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam. And also his 1 night is equal to 1,000 yugas. So 1,000 of such yugas or kalpas is 1 day of Brahma.
Wow.
Similarly, same is 1 day of 1 night of Brahma.
Wow.
So that is a long, long life. So Brahma's and how, so this is just 1 day and 1 night of Brahma. So what is Brahma's lifespan?
A lot.
Equal to 100 such years. 100 years like this kind of years.
Drama.
So 100 such years. And in Parpada,
Mataji, question.
yes,
How many years did you say Kali Yuga is already passed?
about 5,000 something.
8,064 years.
Yeah, 5,000 something, 5,132, something like that.
Okay.
So this is all mentioned here. The Prabhupada has given the calculation that 100 such years is equal to 311 trillion and 40 billion Earth years. So this is basically, or you can remember 1,000 kalpas is 1 day of Brahma and 1 night of Brahma. And so in the next shloka, Krishna says that everything becomes manifested in this 1 day of Brahma. So right now, when everything is manifested, when everything is, when we have our bodies, when people are going through the cycle of birth and death, then that is the day of Brahma, when the cosmic manifestation is in its manifested form. And when the night of Brahma comes, then that is the pralay. That is when everything is annihilated. So in the next one, Krishna says in 19th, 8.19, Bhuta Grama Sa Evayam. Bhuta Grama means village of all people, village of all living entities. Village means the group, like how many living entities are there? Does anyone know?
84 million, 84 sahasra crore hai na?
Yes, so 8.4 million.
Yes.
Species of life. So they all get annihilated. So he says, Bhuta Grama Sa Evayam Bhutva Bhutva Pralyate, meaning everybody is annihilated and keeps taking
Later I will send it to you.
Okay. So as Brahma's day comes, everything becomes manifested. As Brahma's night comes, everything is annihilated and in its unmanifest or abhyakta form. And then, yes.
Just for clarification, it's 1,000 kalpas is one night also.
Yes, yes. One night is 1,000 kalpas.
In the next line.
Okay. Yes. So 1,000 kalpas is equal to one night. So when night comes, everything is annihilated or abhyakt, and then when the day comes, everything becomes manifested again. So in this way, the cosmic manifestation keeps going, and then the Mahapralay comes when Brahma's life of 100 of those years is finished. So there is a pralay that comes at the end of each day of Brahma, pralay, and Mahapralay comes when there is when Brahma's lifespan is finished. So then there is time for new Brahma. And do you know how long the Mahapralay lasts? Equal to the Brahma's lifespan again. So it is a long, long time before the material manifestation again starts. Another Brahma gets the position. So basically, this is all very, this is just technical details that Krishna is giving. Prabhuji, if you wanted to understand in Manvantar, it is said that one day of Brahma is equal to 14 Manvantars. But this is just like for technical understanding, if somebody wanted to.
So I know I have not read this question may not be related question. What does Krishna do during the Mahapralay when nothing is there?
Prabhuji, what is Krishna doing?
What you say?
What is Krishna doing right now?
Yoga Nidra.
Nah. What else? Another guess. I will give the answer in the form of a shloka if you will. Remember that spiritual world, Prabhuji. So first of all, Krishna does not live in this material world. And this is the hint. He is above and beyond this. So this material manifested destruction, annihilation has no effect on the spiritual. Remember, this is happening for all these material planets. For all the 8.
Yeah. No, that understanding is there. No, what I'm saying is when Mahapralay lasts for 1 year, like one lifespan of Brahma, that is like so many years according to the material world year calculation if you go. There's nothing for him to do that time. What is he doing that time?
He doesn't live in the material world. He lives in the spiritual world. He's always there.
Okay.
So in the spiritual world, what does he do? Who will answer? Come on.
Ras Leela.
Yes.
Yes. He plays flute. He's in blissful state.
Like he's unbothered.
This has nothing to do with him. This is bothering us, not him. Okay, so this is now, these are the two shlokas that Prabhupada quotes in the answer to your question. No, but very, very nice question, Prabhuji. This is perfect question, perfect answers, right? So Prabhupada gives this answer.
He's an unbothered.
So, Chintam, this is a very important shloka, by the way, this and the next one. Yeah. Chintamani prakara sadma sukalpa vriksha Dakshavrateshu surabhir abhipalyantam Lakshmi sahasra sata sambrahma sevayamanam Govindamadi purusham. So what is he doing? He's tending to the cows, he's playing the flute, he's 100 of goddess Lakshmis are in the form of gopis are enjoying with him. And there are those kalp vrikshas there. Those are called desire trees, right? There are milks. There are oceans of milk there, and this is the spiritual world. And then he says, "I worship Govinda, who is adept in playing on his flute with blooming." And this describes his form: lotus petals like eyes, head decked with peacock's feather, figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. This is the song, this is the shloka that George Harrison sings in his rendition of Govindam Adi Purusham. So he's completely transcendental, he's completely unaffected by all this annihilation and destruction. But this is for us to understand how will we stuck in this mundane annihilation and destruction when we could be eternally enjoying in the spiritual realm? So the people in the spiritual planets are not going through annihilation and destruction. So in the Vaikunthas, people are blissful of all of, they're completely unaware of these things happening in the material world. Actually, in one of the lectures, Amren Prabhu said, in the spiritual world, Golok, they are as unaware of us as we are unaware of them. They say, oh, there is a place like this where people get so many diseases, where they get, so old and they get miserable and all their enjoyments are like in smoking and drugs and all this is their enjoyment, where being a servant is considered the worst state of life and people are just trying to lord it over each other. So they are completely unaware of this kind of situation. We are completely unaware of their kind of situation.
Mataji, question.
Yes, Mataji.
Question from Vinita. So she is saying that if those people in Krishna Loka or Goloka, you said, right?
Yes.
Yeah, if they are not knowing about us, like did they forget what they had in the past lives? Like eventually she's thinking, and I think I'm also thinking in the same way, like, people from this earth, like this universe is going there. So have they forgotten?
Yes, Mataji. So we are forgetful individual entities. We forget our past lives, but they are in the memory of only one thing, the only one thing that matters, that we talked about last time. They always remember Krishna, but we have forgotten our. So the reason we are stuck in this Dukhalam Shashvatam is because we have chosen to forget Krishna and we have decided to enjoy separately from Krishna. The difference is that in the spiritual world, people are enjoying with Krishna and they are always serving him. We are not serving him and we have forgotten our relationship with him.
Yeah, and so the same thing happening there, like, the people who are with Krishna right now, they also forgot their past life, like if they were here.
Yes.
Okay.
It is Krishna's mercy that we forget these past miserable lives, because who knows what all we did, what all crimes or sins or maybe good things also, bad things also, whatever we did, it will be a load on our little intelligence to remember all of that. So we forget. So yes.
What's the difference between the Goloka and Vaikuntha?
Very good question.
Very nice. Okay, who will answer? Let's see from our anybody from our class can answer. How about
I know they're both Krishna.
They're both Krishna.
But very nice question. Who will answer this? Let me see. Is Raina able to answer this? No. Okay.
And let's have another question which is very related. Like we just read that we have 4 dham: Devi dham, Mahesh dham, and Hari dham, and then the Gokul dham.
There's a Yotya dham.
So that Hari dham and Vaikuntha dham, is that the same they are referring in the Brahma Samhita?
Yes, Prabhuji. I think Hari dham basically they're referring to all the Vaikunthas.
Vaikuntha.
So to answer,
I understood the same. Yeah, what you're saying. Yeah. So now answer. Yeah. So what is the difference between Vaikuntha and Goloka?
Okay. Let me answer very quickly. We have to finish up. So Vaikuntha refers to all the spiritual planets, Vedi. They are all the higher spiritual planets. They are many expansions of Krishna that are in those planets. Like some of the expansions are mentioned here, like Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Niruddha, Keshav, Madhav, Narayan, Vishnu. There are 24 such expansions. So there are many Vaikuntha planets, but the Golok, where Krishna is in his personal form, is the highest of the Vaikuntha planets. So Vaikunthas are many, and any place is okay. I mean, the main thing is to get out of this material world. We just keep our goal highest as Krishna, as Golok, but any of these Vaikuntha planets are just spiritual planets, and they are beyond the material modes. They are beyond the material control. Actually, I was reading this. There is a book called Easy Journey to Other Planets. This book refers to spiritual planets as anti-matter. Like our quality is matter, right? We are everything is made of matter, material world, body, everything is made of matter, right? And the spiritual is completely opposite to matter. So it is also called anti-matter, meaning that they are not destructible, they're indestructible, they're infallible, they are eternal, right? They're full of bliss. They are not affected by these three modes of material nature. Okay, there is no anarthas there like pride, illusion, false ego, all these things.
Mataji,
Yes, Prabhu.
there will be one very good sloka in the Brahm Samhita after that, which
Yes,
which explains in the example form, the Vaikuntha Lok will be very clear to the kids. They explains about how we light like multiple lamps from one lamp, and there is still the same bright and equally potent. I don't remember the sloka number, but I think it follows after this.
Yes, Prabhuji, I think you're right. There are 3-4 shlokas together that describe everything.
So it's like the example goes like that, like, you know, like if we have one lamp and then we light 10 different lamps, they are equally bright, they're equally potent, there's no difference, but it's just, you know, it's just 10 different lamps. The same way Krishna expands himself into so many Mahavishnu forms, like as you named Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Damodar, Mahavishnu, and they're all in the Vaikuntha Lok, just managing each and every lok, but they're all equally powerful, equally beautiful, equally healthy, like, you know, whatever the opulences that Krishna has, the 6 opulences.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. So this is clear, right? By human calculation, 1,000 years is ages is Brahma's one day. And then we did the next one where we talked about how at the beginning of the day, Brahma's day, everything becomes manifest, and thereafter everything is merged into unmanifest again, right? In the night, annihilation happens or pralay happens. Ratri agame pralyante. So when Brahma's night comes, pralay happens. And we read about again and again when Brahma's day arrives, everything comes into, all living beings come into being, meaning that they accept material bodies. And when the night comes, they become helplessly annihilated again, right? We read all of this. The next one we read in 20 about the unmanifest eternal nature, which is transcendental. We read about that. And that is unmanifested. It is supreme. It is never annihilated. We know these qualities of the supreme abode of Krishna. And when all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is, right? So that part is not affected by whatever destructions and things are happening in our world. Okay, so that was in 20. And then in 21, Krishna says that part is that eternal abode is described as unmanifest, infallible. Unmanifest meaning that it is not manifested to our senses. We cannot see it, we cannot appreciate it with our senses. And this is a supreme destination. Krishna says this is the Param Dham, Tad Dhama Paramam Mama. And from having which attained it, one never returns. That is my supreme abode. So Yam Prapyana Nivartante. Right? So that child who was hungry, who was cold, who was bleeding, now once he goes back to his father, now he has the better sense and he will not leave again. Right? So Yam Prapyana Nivartante. And then in the this one, Krishna says that I can only be attained by unalloyed devotion. We have talked about unalloyed, unmotivated, uninterrupted, pure bhakti, not mishrit bhakti, pure bhakti many times. So that is a mode by which I'm easily attainable. And he's present in his abode. So Krishna is always present in his Vaikuntha, but he's also all pervading and everything is situated within him. I think I would stop here. And I just wanted to show this shloka from chapter 2, because I know some of you are reading early parts of Bhagavad Gita. So just to remind that this has been mentioned before by Krishna, that all created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what is the need for lamentation? This is when he was still reasoning with Arjun, why do you need to lament if everything is temporary? And just to give you a comparison of how small our life is. So this is something called a mayfly. Its life is just 24 hours long. It has the shortest lifespan of any insect. So for Brahmaji, that's how we are. Our lifespan is so short compared to his, right? Just like this mayfly's life is so short compared to us. There was a whole page of this, how they have different lifetimes, and we cannot even imagine. Like something that has 3 days lifespan. This insect ant has 3 weeks lifespan. This is houseflies 4 weeks, right? This dragonfly 4 months. So to us, to them, it is unimaginable that we live for like 80, 90 years or 70, 80 years. To an insect or to a fly, it is unimaginable that they die within a few weeks and we live for 70, 80 years. Similarly to us, it is unimaginable that Brahmaji can live for so long. And Indra has his own lifespan. So, these are just earthly years. For our earthly years, their lives is, we are like bubbles to them, bubbles that come and burst in the boiling water. So this material world is the boiling water, and we are these bubbles that are coming and bursting in this world. That's how the superior planets look at us. House mouse, 1 year of life. Just to give an idea of how these are all living entities. Anita Mataji doesn't like the lizard.
So Mataji, I think I learned a name. The tiniest living entity's name is Indragopa. Am I right? It comes in the Brahm Samhita only.
Okay, Prabhuji, maybe I don't know that.
Okay, they are the tiniest living entity in this material universe is known as Indragopa. Like Indra is the main king of the god, and the tiniest is Indragopa. And that comes in the Brahm Samhita from the Brahma itself saying. What is saying, like the Krishna basically takes care of the activities or karma from Indra all the way to the Indragopa, the tiniest one. And just by doing devotion, everybody can get rid of this eternal karma, like non-eternal karma, the temporary karma that we have.
I think Prabhuji, Atharv had a related question. Yes. First time today, Atharv is asking question that if we already had our past lives, why are we again here?
So Mataji, let's hear from you the answer.
I think it's the karma. That's what we are reading. We have to, serve as per our previous birth, whatever karma we had done. And the final goal for anybody that we are looking for is to go to Krishna. But until unless we balance everything, we will keep on taking birth again and again.
Right. That is the point, Atharva Prabhuji. Every birth, we do some activities. So in order to enjoy the results of those activities, or enjoy or suffer, we have to take a form, we have to take a birth again. So when we start doing our activities which does not create any balance, then it stops creating any kind of a good or bad effect. That time the bank balance becomes 0, and then you don't come back again. But till your bank balance becomes 0, you have to come either to enjoy or to suffer. Why do we enjoy or suffer? Because we do the activities that give us an imprint. Like when you walk on the mud, you leave an imprint of your foot. Likewise, when you wake up until you sleep, whatever action we do, we leave an imprint on it. And that imprint we have to either enjoy or suffer. Unless we do that activity for Krishna, only for Krishna and only for Krishna, then you don't leave any imprint. So that is the shortcut answer for your question. It's a long thing, but it's a shortcut I can think of this time.
Thank you for the nice question, Athar.
Did you understand?
Haribol.
Yeah, he's taking interest, I think, today. So it's
so much. Did you like the pictures of all the ants and reptiles? No, you didn't like them. I didn't like them either. We like pictures of Krishna, right? Prabhupada is describing Krishna in the purports, and we are putting up lizards and reptiles here. So, okay, let's chant. I think we will read and try to finish next time this chapter. It gets easy after this. It's not very much to go.
You said the Kahoot will be on the end of the February.
If that's okay, yes. If we can finish next time, or if something is left over, we can discuss that day and then do Kahoot that day.
That's okay, Mataji. Yeah, we'll
I think
keep the Kahoot day really easy.
Yes, yes. We will just do Kahoot and just discuss the quiz itself.
Yeah, quiz or some kirtan maybe.
Yes.
Is it only chapter 8 for the Kahoot?
Yes, I think so. We did till seven before, right? We did the Kahoot before.
Okay.
I think it's a good revision. Everybody can at least read the translations very quick.
Oh, no, everything good, Mataji. We are doing good. It looks like with the Krishna mercy, we are on time today.
Yes, Prabhuji. I tried my best. But Krishna's without mercy, nothing happens. So.
Nothing happens.
Okay, let's chant very quick.
Krishna, Krishna. नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति स्वामिनी इति नामिते नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रकाशिते निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गोविंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गोविंद श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गोविंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्ण हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
हरे हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे हरे कृष्ण
Hare
हरे
Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे 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 राम हरे हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna,
कृष्ण
Hare Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
हरे हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे हरे
Krishna
हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
हरे हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे
Krishna
हरे हरे
Krishna,
राम हरे हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna, Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna,
हरे हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
So, but we'll discuss more next time.
Okay, Mancha Kaltarubhyascha Kripa Sindhave च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
भयो वैष्णवे भयो नमो नमः। हरे
हरे
कृष्ण।
कृष्णा
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
श्री वैष्णवों की